On the East Coast of the United States, and in the early days of both aviation and automobiles, Old Orchard Beach has long been a resort area and a tourist attraction for well over 100 years. Um, and at one point, it had the longest oceanfront pier in the world. And in the early days of automobile testing and aviation testing, the Wright brothers went down to Kitty Hawk for the wins. But, there's Ormond Beach and Daytona Beach. And also Old Orchard Beach was another place where people were trying to do the land speed records, aviation testing, etc. And there were beach races. They'd get 50, 60,000 people would take the trains up from Boston. You'd have the Old Orchard 5 mile, 10 mile, and 100 mile race. And you can see the photograph right there. That's the Old Orchard. That started one of the Old Orchard races. I don't know which one exactly it is. Probably close to the 100 because you've got a lot of vehicles there to look for that. You can see the crowds, and they would go from the pier. They would run down about a mile, turn around, come back, and full speed go under the pier, down the beach, turn around, come back. And you can actually see, here's a gentleman here posing. And also, just like today, you can see the boats all in the water, the crowds. These were huge, huge undertakings. So a lot of times, we're forgetting about, Old Orchard's role in transportation evolution. Charles Lindbergh landed on Old Orchard Beach. It was a major hotbed of innovation. One of the first things I do, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's just what I do. When I'm really working with someone to train them or to teach them to run an early vintage vehicle, and usually Model T is a gateway drug to kind of do that, so to speak, is I try to put them in a perspective of you have to understand the mindset of people 100 years ago are different than today. They were more patient because they were from a time period that took more time to do things. They had a natural tendency to have certain failures. There was, to put it bluntly, there was more, you know, pain or struggle in every element of daily life. Even getting water. Okay, we turn on the faucet. Okay, you got to walk out to the pump. You got to pump the water. You got to bring it back in. You got to heat it on the stove. I just want to wash my face. It's like an hour and a half of work and chopping the wood just to wash my face with hot water. So they're accustomed to those certain things. And I think that's important when you recognize you're driving your vehicle. It's them. Because I can slack off if we want to, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays, these guys are coming in here and they're giving their time to keep all this stuff running or fix it or restore it or repair it. We have a large fundraiser every August, which is the New England Auto Auction. It takes a lot of time and effort to put together. It is 100% not solely on my back. If we don't have the people all working together and really, really going above and beyond to pull it off with a small staff, okay? But if we don't do that, these guys aren't going to have the resources to do what we want to be able to do. Personally, that's what really drives me. I'm a car person, aviation person. I love my things, and it's very easy to get into, we need to get people to love what we love because it's going to disappear. That's great.
Right.
But at the heart of it, I just hope someone forms an appreciation for something for their own accord, whatever it actually is. I have a huge affinity for Model T Fords. The significance is whatever, But why? When I was a little kid and went back to the island where my father was born on, out in the driveway was a rusted old Model T that was my grandfather's, who at the time was like 80 and in there smoking his pipe. And there's the old Model T. We'd go play on it. And that was the only car that they had. And then it became my dad's car when he was in high school. And it's out there rotting away, but I could be 3 years old and playing this old Model T. And then one day dad's like, well, let's get an old Model T and fix it up like the one I had. So there's that connection to it, So I was like, okay, well, I guess I need to have one so I understand it. And it kind of grew from there. I think finding the solutions to the future are easy, okay? But
Yeah.
is work. But here's why. The solutions are in the past.
Right.
If you look at the minds of the men and the women that created these technologies, okay, we're looking to what was done 100 so years ago. We just didn't have the technologies. So electric vehicles aren't new, okay?
No.
I mean, we can, like here at Owl's Head, we can go back, we can talk about it in the theoretical. But and with a Stringo, because we can move the vehicles in probably 15 minutes, I can pull out a 1910 internal combustion vehicle, I can pull out a 1910 air electric vehicle, and I can pull out a 1910 air steam vehicle. So the question was, in 1910, electric and steam outsold gas almost 2-to-1. Why did it change?
Happened? Yeah.
So what I would say to you is, let's really study it. Let's get the cars out and figure it out. I probably moved 15 to 20 vehicles with one person helping us. We're working together in under 35 minutes and got them all stacked. And we were amazed, and we'll show it today. We were amazed at the size differential of what the Stringo could handle. Obviously, smaller vehicles, but I moved a 33 V12 Dietrich-styled convertible sedan Packard that easily weighs upwards of almost 5,500, 6,000 pounds. Moved it up a percentage grade into a storage facility and parallel parked it with about this much room and left in about 2 minutes. So the mere fact that we've been able to have a Stringo here has allowed us to manage our collection so much better, has allowed us to move and relocate vehicles as needed. It has been an extremely beneficial safety resource because our volunteers are amazing people, but they are on the older age side of the spectrum. And we don't need 75-year-old people pushing V12 Packards around. But now we can move the Packard, the Rolls, we can move these vehicles, we can move 20, 30 vehicles at one time. We may have to pull an aircraft out because we need to fly it or work on it, but it's surrounded by 5 or 6 vehicles. So we move five or six vehicles, move the aircraft out. The way our museum works as an operating demonstrating museum, we're moving them constantly and then putting them back. And this Stringo has allowed us to do it much more effectively and safely, and you guys are heroes. I was amazed at how much safer it is for the vehicle as well. Especially with the variable speeds and how
protecting the vehicle damage.
And and we've kind of developed our procedures where it's like, at any time, for the most part, whatever possible, have an operator and a spotter.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a long class, you can't see the back end, but you can get it set, you can move it in.
Yeah.
It's a really ingenious machine. This is Hollywood Elite right here. This car was the personal car and Christmas/engagement present for Clara Bow. And she took possession of it on the Paramount Studios in December of 1930. It's a 1929 Rolls-Royce, Stringo Rolls-Royce Derby Tour. And this was her personal car she drove for many years. And we have done a lot of work to this, and it is now back in running, driving, and roadable condition.
Beautiful.
And it's heavy and long. And with Stringo, 2 fingers, and we can get her outside.